And I just want to say welcome to everyone today and thank you for all your patience as we have worked to get technology on our side today to get us started. But my name is Christine Liddick and I am with the Missoula Small Business Development Center. And I am excited to not only host but participate in this webinar today presented by KJ SmallBiz Cafe. And want to just say that I love working with KJ, this is my third webinar with KJ. I love how she teaches. I love how she communicates to participants. I love that when we complete this webinar, we walk away with something that we can apply to our businesses, maybe even tweak our personal sort of presence on social media. And it allows business owners to take an hour out of their day and then have something to show for it when it's done that helps move their businesses forward. And so without further ado, as we head into animated Facebook covers, I would like to introduce with great pleasure, KJ Conley.
Hi, you guys, and since all of you guys know me, I'm going to skip my introduction bit so you can see both Canva and Zoom at the same time. You can open your Canva browser, minimize it a little bit, slide it to one side, and that way you can see Zoom at the same time. You know, sometimes we just have one of those days, and those days are just kind of like, oh my gosh, you have to be everything from the CEO all the way up to the janitor. And then on top of all of that, we have to do our social media graphics too. So what we are going to do is create an animated Facebook cover. We're also going to save it as a template so you can use it again later on. And this will give you an idea of what we are going to do. And thanks to both of who you guys know for letting me use her images from her desert collection to do this. So the template that we're going to start with is going to be somewhat like this. I'll look very different though. You can add your own images to it, change the text so that it fits what you're going to do. And then we're going to set it to animate. With just a few of you guys, we may have time to add a logo to it, but the main idea is going to be able to set this animation so that we can run it as an animated Facebook cover and also save it as a template. Get back over here. The template that we're going to start with is going to look like this. Then we're going to add our own images to it, put our own text into it. And the animation part is going to be really easy because at that point, the only thing we have to do is change out an image and then the text that goes with that image. And if you have a price or like Barbara, a description of one of your pieces of art that needs to go in there as well. One of the really cool things about using templates like this, just by changing out this one image on the size, it gives it a totally different look. And then here I used the same background and just added Olive's logo on it. When we get to Canva, and Christine experienced this morning, I said, try this and see what happens. And I haven't totally figured this out in Canva. Sometimes when you search, depending on what you search for and how you have used Canva in the past, what we're going to search for, you may get a template that is this size, that is a horizontal size. You may get a template that shows up that is a postcard size. We don't want to use the one that's the postcard size. The reason being this is not the right dimensions for a Facebook cover. But we've got to work around to get to that if that happens. So all of those things being said, let's hop over to Canva. Let me get these other things turned off on my computer in the background. Otherwise, you might hear my computer start humming because it's working so hard to do all of this stuff. Okay, you guys should be able to see my Canva screen at this point. Can you see it?
Yep, we sure can.
Okay. If you have a question, just please unmute yourself and stop and ask. So you can see in the chat, I've typed bright pink cake pops. on your Canva homepage, but not quite yet. On your Canva homepage, you can see that we have a couple different kinds of menus. I have sized my screen so that it actually shows the hamburger menu here. And I've done that, chances are, just because your screen, if you're trying to see both the Canva screen and the Zoom screen at the same time, you probably see this hamburger menu. If you don't see the hamburger menu, you will have that menu that will show up here like this over to the side with Canva, and any additional under this 3-dot menu. Also, when you get started on your Canva home screen, you've got where it says design anything. These are all different kinds of template designs that are already there in the way of presentation, social media, video, print production. There are so many really cool things that you can do. If you have used Canva, you have your designs that is underneath that, and then further on Instagram, Facebook, posters, etc., etc., etc. So just to make sure that we are all in the same place, click on the Canva button on the top left-hand side so that you're back at this home screen. And then in this home screen, we're going to type in bright K-pops in the search. Did you get the one that's postcard size, or do you also, or maybe see the one that is the long horizontal size?
Uh-oh, people are focusing, KJ.
I guess so. Okay, I'm going to continue on with what to do. So on this particular one, it's the postcard size. This will be a good exercise for you if you're looking for something in the future and you know what size file you need. And Barbara, you may have run into this before because I know you've been using Canva quite a bit. I'm going to click on this one that's the postcard size. It's going to open right where it shows this file and all kinds of other templates. Because I know, and let me find this to pop in the chat for you guys, because I know that the template size that I need is 851 by 315. That's what Facebook has told me we should be using. Because I know that we're looking for an 851 by 315 file size. And I've got this and I look at it and go, that doesn't quite look right. I'm going to go up to the top and say File. And here are the dimensions of this. And that is definitely not 851 by 315. So to find any file like the one that we need to use today, or any other file that is of a specific size, I'm going to go ahead and close this window. Yeah?
KJ. Okay. Yeah. So I'm in bright pink cake top templates.
Yeah.
And I don't have the image that you have.
You don't have the look of the image or the size image, because this is not
the look of that image.
Okay. So what we're going to do next should get everybody to the look of the image and the right size. So this is the workaround in case it doesn't work. Okay, so if this doesn't get you there, then let me know. And Barbara, if both of you guys want to just leave your microphones unmuted, that's fine with me.
Okay, so I realized I didn't have pops. Okay, so now I'm with your image.
Okay.
All right.
And you may have the one that looks like postcard size, and you may have the one that's much more horizontal, banner size.
And so she looks in file, right?
Yep. So once you select anything, no matter what it is, if you need to check the dimensions on it, so I'll do this again. I'm going to select this one. I already know it's not the right size, but I'm going to look at it just to double check. It pops up in my work area. And I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to say File, click on File. And it shows me here exactly what size this is. Okay. And I really don't want one that's this size. So this is going to be my workaround to find the exact one I need. That's the exact size that I need. So at this point, we're looking for a specific size template. We're going to go to create a design. Depending on when you used this last, because I have already used custom sizes, it pops it up at the top. Chances are on yours down here at the bottom, it's going to be a button that says use custom size or create custom size. I forget exactly what it says, but either at the top, if you've used it recently, or at the bottom, you will have a button that says custom size.
So KJ,
Yep.
Why couldn't we just take that and go, of course, I have the paid version, so maybe mine looks different, but I have a resize button at the top. Couldn't I just click on resize and put in the proper dimensions?
Yes, and with the paid version, that's a great question, Barbara. Thank you for asking. Yes, you can do that with the paid version. If you don't have the paid version, we have to go around about it this way to get that correct size.
Okay.
So with that, well, you don't need to know that because you've got the paid version. Never mind.
Now do we all have it pulled up appropriately, I think,
Yeah.
if I understand.
Yeah. Put 850 by 315 in there, create new design. And then when you do that, you're going to get all kinds of 851 by 315. At this point, you can type bright pink cake pops and it should come up. And Amy and Christine, it should say free. And Barbara's got all kinds of cool bells and whistles. I'm going to have to sit down with you and look at all those bells and whistles one of these days.
Yes,
Okay. I'm sure it's really cool.
And tell me again the size, 851 by what?
315.
315. Okay.
Okay, so a quick review of what you've got here at this point. This is the work area where you actually work on your image. You have a file in a home menu and a backup undo here. Anytime you have something selected here, such as this image, you have options at the top for what you have selected. Also have a menu over on the left-hand side, which is templates, uploads, photos, elements, a variety of other things. We're only going to use the ones today that we're going to actually need to create this animation with. And then to make your work area larger, you can click this button on the side here that says hide, all of that. So now I've got a larger work area. You can also zoom in if at any point you need to zoom in. Or you can also say to fit it back on the screen so you can see the entire thing. Okay, first thing we're going to do is be so super easy. If you look at this pink box, and you see this pink box doesn't cover the entire thing. It's not a background image. We want a background image because when we do an animation, if we didn't have a background image, as the image that we put in here slides back and forth, we're going to have a big pink, a big white empty space. So make sure that you've got this pink selected and just hit your delete key and get rid of it. Our text graphics are still, or the text is still there, it's just white, you can't see it. But what we're going to do next is find a background. So we'll go to backgrounds on the left-hand side. Click backgrounds. And for what I was doing with Olive's desert collection, I knew that I wanted kind of a sandy desert looking background. So I typed in sand in the search menu. And then I had all of these different options, and you just click on any of those options and you can see that now it puts this background here. It actually does cover the entire thing. And you can check out which other background might work. So, and you can also type in colors. If I wanted something that was purple, for example, And there's things that have all kinds of purple options in them. If you have used backgrounds before, it will have things that you've recently used. So if you know there's something that you've recently used, you can scroll through here and select that. So find some kind of background that's going to work for you. As I look at this right now, and I'm going to go ahead and close this. Look at this right now, I go, oh, this is not, it needs to be darker. We're going to adjust that in a bit. But before I adjust that, I want to change out this photos and put a bracelet photo in so that I can kind of match the color with the background to the color of the bracelet photo.
Oh,
So
wow.
next thing that we're going to do, click on these really cool, this beautiful little picture of these pink cake pops. I would love to taste one of those. How do they make them so pretty? Christine, you need to teach us how to do this.
Yeah, that'll be a whole other webinar.
Yeah, Christine's a chef, if I may say.
Retired chef, but yes.
Retired chef. Okay, so go ahead and click on these bright pink cake pops picture, and we're going to delete that as well. And you will see that when you delete that image, you have a placeholder image behind it.
Mhm.
We're not going to go into how to use placeholder images because that's a little bit different than just putting an image in and manipulating it. So go ahead and delete that placeholder image also. Okay, at this point, you see our background all the way across and all of our elements on it. So if you have some photos that you are ready to upload, and if you don't have photos ready to upload, I'll show you how to use stock photos. But if you have photos ready to upload, go ahead and click Uploads. You can see these are things that I have recently uploaded. Click Load Media. From the Load Media button, you can either grab things off Facebook, Google Drive, Instagram, Dropbox, but I'm assuming that they are on your desktop. If you use any of these others, you have to have your login information or have logged in previously to be able to get to them. So click Device if that's where they are. At this point, you're just going to scroll through to find the media that you want to upload. And I'm just going to stick this photo in there. And you can see this little guy moving around, and you can see that this image is uploading. And this bar will go across. If you're uploading images, for the moment, only upload one just in case they are fairly large. And that way you don't take up extra time and bandwidth uploading several photos. You can come back and upload the others later. So go ahead and work on finding a photo that you want to upload. If you don't have one that you want to upload and you want to use the stock photos, under Photos, you have got such a huge variety of stock photos to choose from. Pick anything that you think would be fun, type it in the search. Obviously, I've been looking at beach photos because I would love to be hanging out on the beach right now. And there's all kinds of beach photos. So whether you are in uploads or stock photos, and if it's got a crown beside it, it's one that you would have to pay to use. If you hover over it and it says free, it's one that you can use free. So whether you're in photos or in uploads, either one, click on one of the images that you want to use. And it's going to put it in the middle of your work area. So I can work on this a little bit better. I'm going to close this. Now I can see all of this a little bit bigger. Two things to pay attention to as you're using any kind of image that has a bounding box around it. Well, they'll all have a bounding box around it. When you click a corner, it gets bigger. When you grab one of the sides, you can actually crop the image until you get to the point where it's out the outside edge of the image, and then it's going to make it bigger. It always keeps it proportional, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm gonna slide it over here and get it in the area. And what I have found is one of the easier things to do is I'm gonna get the image about the size that I want it and sitting in the place where I want it. Or get the subject in the image, not the image itself, but get the subject. And then I'm gonna take the sides and crop it down. Yeah. Okay, now if you look at this image where I have it right here, get this snugged in, you can see that, wait a minute, that's not square. It's, we know you really like abstract, KJ, but this really looks odd being over here toward the right-hand side of this image frame and having this empty gap here. There is a reason for that. And let me put this information in the chat for you guys. When you are looking at a Facebook cover on a desktop, this is the size that you will see when you create it from a template this size. When you look at it on a mobile device, you're going to lose 90 pixels on this side and 90 pixels on this side. That's why sometimes when you see things on a mobile device, you see the whole thing, and you look at it on a desktop and you might have a black bar on either side. You can look at that and go, oh, I know that you created that just for a mobile device size, and when it goes to a desktop, you've got these margins that are on the side. So what we are going to do is create it for a desktop size, leaving extra space outside of our primary image and text so that it works on a mobile and a desktop also without losing anything of importance. To be able to do that, and you'll see that over in the chat, I popped in, if this is our file size, 850 by 315, you lose 90 on either side. We need to put guides at roughly 90 and 760. So if you go to the top and click File, Barbara, you will be able to probably do this with margins. In the free version, you have to use guides and rulers. But Barbara, I would suggest for now, if you haven't tried using guides and rulers and understand what they are, go ahead and follow along with this part so you can get a good idea of what guides and rulers do. So click rulers, and you'll see that it pops up the rulers on the top and the sides that says, look at this, here's the size of this image, 315 by 850 or 851, you just don't see the one mark there. And what we are going to do now is put in what is called a guide. So if you hover in this ruler on the left-hand side and you get a double arrow, click and drag, and you will see this little guide that goes along with you, and you'll see up at the top, it tells you what area it's on. Right now it's at 92 pixels, mine's at 49 pixels. Put it at roughly 90 pixels. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm good with it at 91. I just want a rough idea of where it's going to be cropped off on a mobile device. And I've done the math for you over in the chat box. So the next one's going to go over, since we lose 90 pixels, 850 minus 90, that's going to leave us at roughly 762, close enough. Here's a cool little trick. If you can see my finger up in the top little picture. If you're sitting on a tracking pad, and you know, when you try to do this, everything moves so fast and so hard. If I'm trying to do, actually, let me grab this there. If I'm trying to do this, it's really hard to get it to the right place. But if I just press down on my tracking pad and roll my finger just slightly, it'll move your cursor just a little bit at a time. Just a cool little tech trick. Okay, so now we've got our margins, or excuse me, the guides set out here.
KJ, Amy and Barbara are probably fine, but for those of us who don't have the experience, and for people watching this webinar, I need you to explain that to me one more time.
The guides as to how to use them or why they're there.
No, the guide. Okay, so you went that way. I am struggling with my guide. So
Okay,
on
I'm
the
gonna,
right, I'm wanting to take 90 off. So I'm subtracting 90 from 850 and going to what?
760.
Okay, I think that's where I lost you. So mine were in the wrong place. And then the other direction, I'm going.
I'm going to take mine completely out. So if you want to get rid of them all together, just click on it, drag it to the side, and it's completely gone. So because we lose 90 pixels on either side.
Okay, so 315 minus 90 then is what I'm.
It's in the chat.
Okay, thank you. I got it.
Yep. So the first one, we know we're going to lose 90 pixels on the left-hand side. So I'm going to drag a guide over to about 90.
Yep.
I'm going to go back and get a second guide to mark where we lose the 90 pixels on the right-hand side. Maybe that would have been a better way to say it. And put it at roughly 760.
Yep.
761, close enough.
Yep, I'm good now. Thank you for repeating that.
Yes, and thank you for asking. I appreciate that. So now we see if this were uploaded just like this, we would chop off the last bit of the word Emily. Okay, next thing that we are going to do, let me look at my notes to make sure that I didn't forget anything of crucial importance here. Okay, if I look at this in my image, this color kind of matches the copper in this, but it's not nearly as dark as I need it to be for the text to show up well. And also I know that the other images that I'm going to use in this animation are much darker than this one. They're dark brown leather instead of the blue and the copper. So I'm going to adjust the color of the background image. And remember that anytime you have anything selected here, and I just clicked on the background image, that you have options for that across the top. In these options, and one thing that I will point out real quick, if you go to Effects, don't click on one of these right now. If you go to Effects and you select any of these, after you get past your one undo, those are permanent to whatever image you put here.
Oh.
Yeah, and especially after you close it. So then you would have to go back and find this background or any of your images you use again, so that that's not frustrating for you. Just wanted to point that out. But for what we're going to do on this image, with it selected, I am going to go to Adjust. And it's going to bring up an adjustment menu. So I can see this a little bit better. I'm also going to zoom in a little bit. That way I can see this whole image a little bit better. I know I want it darker because I want to keep the white text and I want the text to show up better. So I'm going to go to brightness and start taking it down. And that's looking pretty good as far as darkness goes. Maybe a little bit more. Color is not quite right yet. Especially after I darkened it, it looks kind of flat, a little bit muddly. So if you look part way down on your adjustments, this is so cool, so much fun. Watch what happens when you slide the 10 across. You can make this background or image or anything that you wanted to. You can change the color tremendously. Well, I want to go with, a really rich desert. Oh yeah, I'm kind of liking that. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that color at this point. You can also adjust the contrast, the saturation, so that you almost get it grayscale or really make it super saturated. One other thing that I want to do on this one is I'm looking kind of closely at it. I'll zoom in on it so you can see this a little bit better. You can see that right behind where I'm going to put the title of the bracelet, it's pretty sharp right here. And I don't want that sharpness to conflict with the words that I have here. I just want a real illusion of the sand. So I'm going to blur it just a little bit. And you see that when you use blur, you can either really blur it to the point where it's almost gone, which could be a really cool effect if you wanted to do that. Or you could take it on the opposite direction of blur, which sharpens it. And you may have something that you want to do and get a really interesting effect with that. But I just want to blur it just a little bit so it takes the sharpness out of where this other word is going to be. Once I get that done and I'm happy with the way that looks, I'm going to click anywhere in my work area. Get back to this. I'm going to go back to fit it on the screen so I can see the whole thing again. At this point, I'm pretty darn happy with this. Next thing, let's change the text. So I want my text to say Desert Collection. And if you look at this right now, I already know that when this is viewed on a mobile device, the last part of this word is going to get chopped off. So a couple things to notice as you work with text in Canva. If you grab any of the corners, you can make your text larger or smaller. And don't forget, you also have all of these options for the size of the text, which we just did by dragging, or the color, or to make it bold, and all these other things. Another way that you can adjust this bounding box around the text is by grabbing the sides and dragging it to the right or to the left. And you see this isn't having any effect until I get to the point where there. It puts it down below on a second line. So the corners are going to make it larger and smaller. To drag it out this direction, you can see how much goes on any one line. That's basically your line size. If I were to hit the return key and type more, it's going to put it on the second line. So I'm going to adjust my text size. Way too little. So you guys, and please, I really, really encourage you to play when you're doing this. And try out different things. If you wanted to change the color, you have all kinds of options here for changing color. You change the color the same way in text as you do these graphic elements. So we're going to go into this window in detail when we change color on graphic elements. So for right now, I'm happy with this white text. If you want a different font, this is your font menu. One other thing that I will point out about text, and this is a really great little place to show you. So this is the double arrow bracelet. Now I know for a fact that I did not have my caps lock key on when I typed this, and it typed this text all in caps. And for whatever I do, it's not going to go in lowercase. Remember, anytime you have something selected here and you run into anything that could be a questionable problem, look at your menu options at the top. We've got more here for text. I'm going to click more, and one of the things that I see here, we have a little a and a big A. Look at that, uppercase and lowercase. If I click this, it's going to change it all to lowercase. Then I can go in and make a capital D or a capital A. A lot of Canvas templates have everything in uppercase. So if that happens and you want it part in upper and lowercase, that's where you make that change. I kind of happen to like this all in uppercase for this particular one, but maybe I want a different font. And that was one that I used earlier, Red Hat Display, the display font. And I want it in bold. And you have to actually select it to get it to go in bold or italic. So at this point, I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. Next up Anybody have questions at this point?
No, but I'm having a heck of a lot of fun.
Yay! Okay, one other thing that, well, this is probably going to happen to us in a little bit. Oh yeah, oh, it's happening now, cool. If I move my text over, let's say I wanted this text to be on top of both this image and this background image, you can see right now my text is hiding underneath this image. So slide your text over and see if it does the same thing. Maybe it's behind one of the graphics, maybe it's behind the image, maybe it's not behind anything. However, if it were like mine is, when I have the text selected, and I'm going to go up to the top for the menu to go, okay, how do I fix that? What are my options for fixing that? I see that we have position here. If I click on position, it says I can move this text forward. I click it one time, look at that. It's in front of these dots now, but it's still not in front of the image. I click it a second time, and now it's in front of everything. This is also what you would do for position if you wanted to select several things and line them up, top, middle, or bottom, left, right, or center, justified in relation to each other. So now I know I've got this text on top. Move it back over about where I wanted. Next up, we're going to change the color of this little squiggle. So once you click on it, remember again, options at the top. One thing that I have noticed about Canva is sometimes you may just have 3 dots over here. If 3 dots are showing up, click on those 3 dots, and then you will get this color box. So either click on the 3 dots and then click on the color box, or click on the color box, and now we have options to change this color. Right now, this is so tiny, I can't see what that color is in relation to everything around it. So I'm going to really zoom in on it, slide it over so I can actually see it inside that tiny little bounding box. And this is some really cool things that Canva offers. You'll see here, it says photo colors. This is the sand photo that I have used. This is colors that Canva actually pulled out of this sand photo. This is the bracelet photo. And these are colors that Canva actually pulled out of that bracelet photo. If I wanted to click on this blue and turn it this dark teal, sandy, whatever you would call that color, blue. But I know that I want this to be kind of a gold color, and I don't see any gold. Well, it's bright yellow. This one's kind of close, but not quite. I'm gonna move it over while I'm there. So if it's not quite like what you want it, and you don't see anything that you are looking for, find something that's relatively close, and then we'll create a new color.
Mm-hmm.
So in new color, when you click on the new color box, if you're working on something that you want to match to your website, for example, or match to something else, and you actually know the hex number in it, that's where you could type in your hex number or copy paste your hex number. If you want to just pick a color, there's really cool ways. You can use this slider to go, do I want it reds, purples, blues, greens? Where do I want my color to be? I know I want kind of a really rich orange color. That's close, but I want a little darker. So I'm going to grab the circle and I'm going to pull it down. So you could either go over here till it's really gray. These are all the color values that you have in relation to the color that you chose in the slider below. And I'm going to go right there. Yep, I'm liking that. So I'm going to click off to the side anywhere to get that to close. If you can't see off to the side, if you're zoomed way in, you may need to change your zoom first and go back to fit it in my screen. Yeah, a little bit of subtle color right there. I really don't want these dots. I want to pick a really cool element instead of these dots. The dots really don't fit the design that I'm going for. So I'm going to select the dots and hit delete.
Mm.
Dots are gone. I'm going to go over to elements. I want this really cool, squiggly, kind of sandy looking line that I can put on top of the junction between these two images. So I'm going to go over to elements. When I get in there, you'll see recently used, things that I have used recently. That's the one that I have used recently. To define that line, I just typed in line because I knew I was looking for a line. When I typed in line, there are so many options. So I started scrolling through till I found something. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Maybe I said this one to start with and I went, oh, it's too big and too fat on the ends. Delete, not happy with that one. There's the line that I would like. You'll notice that as you scroll through some of these, there are some that are actually animated. Most of the animated ones work really cool, but you can't change the color on the animated ones. But I like the shape of this line. I get it, you need to get it to match the color. So I am going to hide this area. There's the line with the line selected. So now it's not selected. I'm going to select it. And here's my rotation. So I'm going to rotate this line where I've got it running horizontal-ish. And I want to get it right here, rotate it a little more because I actually want it to hide. Oops, not quite. There, I want it to hide the seam in between these two photos. So I'll give you a second to play with that. Any questions? Okay, onward. Since we've already got this gold color that we want, changing the color of this is going to be simple. So I've got it selected. I'm going up to options at the top, and there we have the pink dots, like I mentioned, or the pink dots. Got pink cake pops on my brain. The three dots, like I mentioned earlier, instead of having the colors showing up there, when I click on that, now I see the color that this object is. When I click on this color, it's going to bring up the color palette that I had to choose from. And way cool, look at this. This is the color that I selected before for this little tiny element. So you don't have to go searching for it again. You don't have to click in here and find your hex numbers again. Once you use a color, it puts it in your document colors. And this actually stays there after you close your file in Canva. So I'm going to click off to the side somewhere to get that to close. And I'm really happy with how this is looking right now. Just because of the fact that I know this is going to show up on a desktop and not on a mobile device, I'm going to put just a little sliver of one of these over there, just so there's something there. So I'm going to click on this element. And I would guess that you guys that are here, you know copy paste. If you don't know copy paste, you can double click and say copy. This is your keyboard shortcut for copy. And then when you either double click and say paste or use your keyboard shortcut that says paste, you've got a second one. This second one, I'm just going to drag it down and put it over here. So there's a little bit of something there that adds a little bit of visual interest that keeps your vision flowing in this area. Because I did this one, I'm going to put just a little tiny one here to balance out this whole thing so this doesn't look quite so squared off in relation to these two elements. I'm going to do paste again. That gives me a second one. I'm going to drag it up and let it hover just right there. Maybe I'm even going to make it a little smaller. I'm going to bring it down, make it a bit smaller. And now I've got this nice flow visually from here down past there to the word desert collection. Now comes the cool part for the animation. If you don't have an element selected anywhere in your work area in relation to the options at top, so make sure nothing is selected, and one of your options at top is either going to be the 3 dots or the word animate. If you got the 3 dots, click on it, and then you'll see the word animate. Once we click animate, we've got some really cool things going on here. If you hover over these, you get a little bit of a glimpse as to what's going to happen when you click animate. So I'm going to click rise just to see. And it's going to show me this is what happens when I click rise. And click it a second time to watch it again. That's kind of cool. If you want to see it in full screen, here's your play button up at the top. So up at the top right hand side, I'm going to click the play button. And that shows me what it will look like. To get out of that, go over to the left and click close.
Oh, holy
That's
moly.
Isn't that cool? Wait till you see what happens next. So I really like pan for this. I like the way it all slides in. So now that I have this done, and right now I only have one, we'll add the other ones in just a little bit. I'm going to click off of this again. This one is my template at this point.
Okay.
Because this one's the template and I want to use it again and again and again to make something similar or just change out a few elements, I'm going to go to File. Now, I had already renamed mine Desert Collection. I don't know, we didn't do that, I don't think. Yours might still say Pink Cake Pops. If it still says Pink Cake Pops or Desert Collection or whatever, anyway, this is how you change the name of your file. I'm going to click on that little pencil and I'm going to title this file Template 1 MLD for Montana Leather Designs. And I want to have the word template in it because I don't want to use the one that I have template and overwrite it later. So this one now I'm going to call template and click off of it. Now the name of this one is template, and you can actually see that in your browser tab at the top. This one's the template.
KJ, I might need you to explain that last move again to me.
Sure.
So I renamed it, but
Yep.
now I need to create a template, and I do what?
Okay, so we're going to rename. What was the name of yours beforehand?
I've already renamed it.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let me go through this in 2 different ways. If you have a file that has a name that you already like, that's something that you want to save it as that file name, you don't need to rename it template.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
If you like the file name, because the next step after renaming something template, in my case with this file, we're going to make a copy. So depending on what your file name is,
Okay, got it.
either keep it the same or make a copy. Now, when you click make a copy, watch what happens in your tabs. It's going to pop open a new tab.
Yep.
So when you click make a copy, now you have this one is copy of template in my case, and this one is template. One of the 2 is
Okay.
going to be the template that you want to keep and not mess up, so you have it for future use.
Okay.
I don't want to mess this one up. I'm actually going to close that tab. On this tab that says copy of template, I'm going to go back in here under file, give it a new name, and it's going to be Montana Leather Design Animate for animation.
Okay.
Once I have this one, that's Montana Leather Designs Animation, this is the one that I am going to then continue to change photos in. And this part is so quick and so easy. I close this side menu so I have a larger work area. I am just going to duplicate by using this duplicate tab on the top right-hand side. Now I have two of these that are just alike. The only thing I have to do at this point is change out my text here. Instead of saying double arrow, I think the next one is L-A-R-E, Laredo, I think is the name of the next one. I'm going to delete this photo. Either go to the photos if you're using stock images or upload. I'm going to pick the next bracelet that I want to put in there. Click on it, it pops it in. I'm going to resize it. One thing that you can see when I resize this one, this image is sitting on top of this graphic. It's also sitting on top of this other little graphic. And I don't want it to be sitting on top of my graphics. So with that image selected, I'm going to go up to the top menu where it says position. And I'm going to say move back. Now it's behind this one, still not behind this one. I'm going to say move back again. And now it's behind both of them. Move it down just a little bit. And now I have the first two pages of my animation. I'm going to go look and see what they do. So I'm going to go up to the top left, right-hand side, the other dyslexic side. Click the play button and watch what happens. How cool is that?
Oh, for pity.
Hi, Norma.
Hi, you
I
guys.
see you made it.
Sorry I'm so late. I had a crisis this morning I had to deal with.
Oh, well, Christine is actually, who is our host, she is actually videoing it, and the video will be available in a day or two.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where we are with the animation series at this point. There's a few other things that I want to pop in the chat for you. And when you do a Facebook animation, your animation needs to be between 30 and 90 seconds long. So you may need to, and here's a really, really easy way to fix that. So if I look at each of my animations at this point, I click on the background. This one is 5 seconds. Look at this one, it's also 5 seconds. Let's say this one, I want to make it 8 seconds. Done. This one, maybe I want to leave it at 5. Maybe I want to change it depending on what you were doing. To make the math that I'm going to explain to you guys easy, I'm going to make it 8 seconds also. So now at this point, I have 16 seconds of animation, and I need, if you look in the chat, I need at least 30. If you only have 2 images that you want to work with and you need 30 seconds of animation, just duplicate each one of them. So I'm going to duplicate the double arrow. I'm going to duplicate the Laredo. Well, I don't want them to play back to back. I don't want to see this one and this one again, and then this one and this one again. So just so this is easier to see, I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. There's all 4 that I have going. If you look and hover over, this is move up and this is move down. If I move this one down, now they're alternating. They're each 8 seconds, and now I've got 32 seconds of animation. At this point, if I wanted to, I could download it to my computer and upload it to Facebook, or I could upload it direct to Facebook if I had my Canva and my Facebook accounts linked. So before we go into the download process. Does anyone have any questions?
I am struggling with the play. How do I get it to play again? I don't.
Yep. So at the very top right-hand side, you see this triangle.
Oh, and it now has, okay, great.
Yep. So very top right, if you click that triangle, you'll see your animation play. And if you want to scroll through it faster, you can just pull the scrubby bar and it'll run through the whole thing. Once you do that.
See. Yep, got it.
Who is that?
I,
Yep.
so
Yep.
I have the files in front of me and I had animation in front of me a second ago.
Okay.
But it no longer is in front of me. And so
Okay.
I was not paying attention when you, well, I was, but I heard you say
Okay,
you
you're
have
trying to
to,
figure out. Right.
yeah,
Okay.
where, how much time.
That's okay. This should be a pretty easy question to answer for you. Okay. Do you see any of your files like this in front of you still?
Yes.
Okay, and what does it say in your options bar at the top?
Effects, filter, adjust, crop, and flip.
Okay, somewhere in there in one of these, you've got a photo selected. So you can see if I select this photo, that's what I see. That's the options for photos. So just click on the side anywhere.
Okay, I'm in animate now.
Yay, okay. So since I've already got this one set to pan, mine shows pan where yours shows animate. So if you click on animate, now you're going to get all the animation options.
Okay, got it.
Cool. So when you click on an animation option, it will play it in the file that is the active file at the time, no matter what it is.
Gotcha.
And you can see that it also names it above. So this one, whoops. This one is rise. I think I set them all to rise. Watch what happens. Actually, let me do this real quick. I'm going to set one to pan. I'm going to set another one to Tumble's really cool. But it's really kind of interesting that it goes to a lot of different things. Block. And I've got several different settings. And when I play this, that one slides in. Oh, I should have set them in order. That one does something different. This one's going to tumble. This one's going to do something different. It gets really distracting. So one thing to be cautious of, if you have a lot of pages that you're animating, be cautious as to how many different types of animation you use, because it can become very distracting. So what we did after we got our first one set to animate, and I'm going to zoom back in. Whoops, that was grid view, so the zoom view. Sorry, there we go. I'm going to get it back on screen. Once we got our animation set, and I still have them all messed up, but that's okay. The next thing we did was just duplicate it and change out the image in the text. Duplicate it and change image and text. And then again, it's got to be 30 seconds. And if you don't have 30 to 90 seconds and you only have 2 animations set up, so if I throw that away, and throw that away, I've only got 2 animations. They're each set for 8 seconds. That would be a total of 16 seconds.
KJ?
Yep.
Where do you increase? Because I have 6 and I still only have 25 seconds. Where do you increase the time for each one?
Yes, good question. Here's something really interesting that works with the way this works. I'm going to duplicate a couple of these so that I have more on my screen like you do, Barbara. So I've got 4 here now. Depending on where, oops, wrong thing, depending on where your Zoom is set. So if I'm way out here like this, and I click on this to show, so, and I change, this is where to answer that question and then continue. Yeah, it's at the top. You click on that,
Okay.
you have option. But depending on where you are zoomed in and where each individual page is in your screen size, Canva may say, oh, I'm going to change it on this one versus this one. So you do have to pay attention to that. Thank you for asking that question. So that brought up that little, whatever that is. So sometimes, whoops. Any other questions on that?
Yes, KJ, so if you increase, you have to increase the animation on each one of those screens, or can you do a master and then they all?
Yep. So that's a really good question. You do, after you have each one of these pages set up, you do have to change the animation on each one individually.
Okay.
That's one of the cool things about once you do your first one, if you know what you want your animation to be, like this one that I have down. This is grid mode. I keep clicking grid mode for some reason. That's how you can see a lot at one time. If you get there and need to close it, click the X. What I intended to do was to really zoom in on one of these. So you can see on this one, and I wanted to really zoom in on it. I've got it set for 8 seconds. If I were to change it to 12 seconds, and then I duplicate it, my next one is also going to be 12 and a half seconds. I'd set it for 12 and a half. So when you create one and duplicate it, it's going to duplicate everything, including the animation style and the animation time. Did that answer that question, Barbara?
Yes, but now I seem to, when I go to the next photo and I want to animate it, I don't see the animate button on the second photo.
What do you see at the top in your menu options?
Well, do I click on the photo? Because if I click on the photo, I get effects, filter, adjust, crop, and flip.
Right. So one of the things that I do when I've got several on the screen, I will click on one so that Canva knows this is what I want to be working on instead of this one or this one. And then I will click off to the side of that so that I don't have that background selected anymore. And now I can see this one is set for block.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay. And if you're zoomed in with them, depending on the size that all of these are zoomed in on, it may think, oh, you're doing this one instead of this one. So you kind of have to
right
do that. So I will show you guys next on the download options, and then we'll go back to any questions again. I want to get the download options out there before we run out of too much time, but I am glad to stay on for a little bit longer after that. So in your top right hand side, you've got this little box with an arrow. That is your download button. When you click on that, we have the option just to download it or to share it on Facebook if you were going to print. And there are a lot of other options. We just want to download this to the computer right now. I want to test it out, look at it outside of Canva. A lot of times you'll see things that you may have missed, and it's a really nice idea to proof it first. So when I click on download, it gives me a suggestion. Do I want to use an MP4? If you are downloading for a Facebook video, yes, you do want to use an MP4 versus any of these other options. And do you want to use all 5 pages? Well, I know I put something weird. I've got this extra one that I was demonstrating something on. I don't want to download that one. So I'm just going to say, I want page 1, 2, 3, scroll up, and 4. And then I'm going to say done. At this point, I'm not going to click, well, I'll go ahead and click it and then I'll refresh my page to get it started. So once you click download, you see that it's downloading and it's beginning to build this animation. This is going to take a while. I don't want to take this much time. So I'm going to go to this X button and close it because I don't want Canva to be hung up doing that while I can answer you guys' questions. So one more time, the download button at the top right-hand side. Click download. Pick the number of pages that you want. Press done, and then ask it to download. This is a good place to go, hey, did I remember what the name of my file is? And here it is up in your tab in case you forgot. So that when it downloads to your downloads folder, you remember the name of it. Questions?
I'm jumping back on in video. When I'm in video, I find myself distracted, but I'm excited by what I prepared. I don't know how other people feel about what they were able to make happen today, but I'm excited by mine.
Would you share?
Oh, yeah, let me see if
Yeah,
I'm
so
savvy
let
enough.
me stop sharing.
Okay.
And Christine, share what you did. And then if anyone else would like to, I would love to see what you guys did.
Okay.
So
let
if
me-
anyone else has something to share, and Christine, can give you
How do
permission
we
to
share it?
Christine will have to give you permission, and then there's a button at the bottom of your Zoom screen.
So I know that mine is still in Canva, but if I press play,
Okay. There we go. Oh, cool.
it's long, so there's pauses, but
That's okay.
That's awesome.
That gives you a chance to read the name and the phone number, which is nice.
I didn't have time because I'm a little slow in the learning curve to change the font maybe for our names, but I like the font for how the introduction goes. But there you go. That's mine for today.
Nice.
All right, I will stop
So
sharing.
would
Let someone
anyone
else.
else share?
I thought was it Barbara?
Amy or Barbara, do you want to
Yeah,
share?
sure. I don't know. So if you're going to my screen and I'm showing you in Canva, where's the play button?
Well, we don't have your screen yet. There is a share button down at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Or maybe at the top of your, if you wiggle your cursor over your Zoom screen, probably down at the bottom, right about the center, you will see a green button that says share screen. Once you click that, then you're going to have the choice of screens to share.
Okay, so maybe I'm complicating this because I have you on two different screens, on my desktop and my phone, because I'm working on my desktop but listening to you on my phone. So I'm not sure. It's my desktop.
On your desktop where you see your Zoom screen, you should be able to move your cursor over that Zoom meeting window and see share at the bottom. Let me share mine and see if I can share my Zoom screen and show you.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the Zoom
okay.
screen. I'm just seeing all of the Canva links.
Okay. All right. So, wait a minute. Did I get the wrong? Okay. So here's my Canva, and I'm going to go through till I find look what I have open, and there is Zoom. And wait, where did mine go now? It says I'm sharing my whole thing. It's not okay. Well, it's not going to let me do. But you see here at the bottom, can you see at the bottom of my screen right here, which says new share? That's because I'm already sharing my screen. So I'm not sure, since you've got it going on like that. I'm going to stop.
Oh, I see.
Find
I
it?
see.
Hey, go
Yes,
to the top And click exit full screen, and right at the bottom it says share screen in green. If you
Oh,
go
Amy's
exit
on the screen. Oh, I'm on the screen. Oh,
full
I
screen,
see.
see share
Depending on-
screen.
Go ahead, Amy.
If you exit full screen, you'll see share screen on the green. In the green, I'm sorry, on the bottom. It'll go to half, it'll go like to quarter screen, and right there at the bottom, it'll say share screen in green. Does that make sense?
So Amy, do you want to share yours? Do you have something you'd like to share while Barbara's looking for that?
Well, here's the thing, I would, but he's having a hard time downloading because
Oh, you could share it straight from Canva.
okay, how do I do that? Oop,
So
wait,
go to share screen, and when you get the option, it'll ask you which screen you want to share. And
Okay.
click on your browser Canva window.
Okay, I'm not sure it's gonna play though, because my photos had I had to pay for them.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Pay for them before you did download.
ooh, it looks like it's, ooh.
Oh, cool.
I'm already relaxed.
how do I, okay, so wait, here we go.
Yeah, try that. Oh,
Sweet. I
So
love the color you made that. That's so fun. It works really well with this image.
the heart is one of my photos, and then
beautiful.
and there's supposed to be 4, but it won't play it because it asked me to pay for the image.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
that's
Like
a
this graphic.
that's a friend of mine right there.
I love the graphic you added in there too. That's nice.
Yeah, so I just started playing with it, but it's not.
Well, that was the whole idea of the class, is to play with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, nice job.
Thank you.
Barbara, any luck?
No, I can't seem to get to the share. I'm either on my my animation, or I'm out of it, but can't get to the, but anyway, I'm going to post it on my the Hamilton Rotary header. So it's done, and I'm going to
Cool.
put it on there. So I'm ready to, I'm just when I downloaded it, that was the other thing, is like saving it and
Yeah.
getting it onto Facebook. So that'll be the next.
So you do have it set up so you can download it. You're ready to do that part.
Yeah, I did download it. Yeah. Well, I
Oh,
mean,
good.
yeah.
Gotcha. Norma, are you
Yes.
there?
Yes, I am. And I was
Okay.
waiting. I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's fine. Because Diane also sent me an email and said, are you recording this? And I said, yes, Christine will be recording it, and I'll get, if you will send me an email,
Okay.
then I can make sure you get the link to the recording when we have that ready.
All right. That'd be awesome. Can I ask one question, since I'm such a late comer?
Sure.
I'm in my Canva account, and
Okay.
where do you go to get where you guys are in the design?
Okay, so let me share my screen again and get that to. Okay, so are you here in
Home?
the home?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm on the
okay.
home
So-
button. Okay.
Yep. Okay, once you are there, here are all kinds of options. I'm not going to go through in detail how we got to this exact template.
Okay. Okay.
But it was a social media template. So
Okay.
click on social media, and then
Okay.
you can scroll through to find all different kinds of social media templates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there, and I put some information in the chat, and I've got one other thing that I would like to put in the chat for you guys. Yeah, here we go. So all of the notes of what we have done today, plus a little additional information, this link that I just put in the chat, It is a post-class for anyone who has taken the class. It's a private page that you can get a list of everything that we did today in order that we did it. So if you need a paper sheet to look through and say, here's all the steps that we went through.
Oh, KJ, that's lovely. Thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
So, and then that's got some additional information also about the rulers and etc. So, fun stuff. I love
Super
seeing
fun.
what you guys made. Barbara, I look forward to seeing yours.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, I hate to cut off this lively group, but we've already been running late, and I'm so excited. And Barbara, like KJ, I can't wait to see what it looks like on your Facebook page. And I want to thank everyone for participating. But KJ, unless there's something that you feel that we haven't covered at this point, we probably should come to a close.
That sounds good. Christine, thank you so much for hosting and putting this together. I think we had a poll.